श्रीकांतो मतलो सजनी सर्वमंगलाजनका शंकरो महादेव त्वं वंदे गजाननम विमलपटी कमलकुटी पुस्तक रुद्राक्ष सहस्रपुटी कामाक्षी पक्ष्मलाक्षी कलितविपंची विभासी वारिंची मनोजवं मारुतुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयुतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने। शिवशक्त्यायुक्तो यदि भवति शक्तिर्भवति न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलस्पन्दित्वम्यतस्त्वामाराध्यां हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कदमकृतपुण्यप्रभवति। पूर्वे सर्वलोकानां विश्चे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिमाधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीलोपामुद्रा समेत अगस्त्याय नमः। हर हर शंकर जय जय शंकर। Today, in continuation of the Soundarya Lahari slokas, we have reached the 69th slokam, which goes as Gale Rekastistro Gatikamaka Gitaika Nipune Vivaha Vyanadda Praguna Guna Sankhya Pratibha Virajante Nana Vidamadura Raga Tribhavam Trayanam Gramanam Sthitinima Simana Ivate. What basically this talks about is Gale Rekastistit Gale Rekas Gale Galam is neck. Rekastistro is the three lines. Gale Rekastistro Gati Gamaka Gitaika Nipune. Nipuna is experts. Gati Gamaka, the one who is an expert of Gamakas. How Sangeetam can be, the Carnatic or the classical music can be sung. Gamakas are a part of it. Gati Gamaka, how to move these 7 notes, Sari, Gama, Pada, Nisa, right? With the Gati and Gamakas, both which are associated with the classical music. That's the first line. The Gale Rekasisto Gati Gamaka Gita Ikanipune Vivaha Vyanadda Praguna Guna Sankhya Pratibhuvaha. Vivaha Vyanadda Praguna Guna Sankhya Pratibhuvaha essentially means the Mangala Sutram that is being tied around the mother's neck is made out of the 3 threads that are dipped in haldi and the water, that saffron dipped water, to get that yellowish goldish shade of the haldi color, which is basically has a shade of gold also in it. And this is basically virajante. The next line goes as virajante nana vidamadu raga tribhavam. Essentially talks about mother nana vida, the multitude of melodies that come out of your throat, the Vishuddhi Chakra, is what is being referred here. Trayanam, Gramanam, Sthiti Niyasimana, Ivate, which essentially means the boundaries and the delimiting musical notes that are there, but we're talking about the 3 lines that are very distinctly seen on mother's neck, as in this screenplay Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya is talking about our divine parents Parvati and Parameshwara's Kalyanam. Vivaham is not a word that should be used for the gods. Vivaham is basically used for the marriage of humans. Vivaham essentially means that which is an interesting weight. Those who are not married want to get married. Those who are married probably are wanting to get out of it. That's essentially what it means by Vivaha. Vivaha essentially means interesting weight. Whereas for the divine marriage of gods, we use Kalyanam. When you go to Tirupati, you actually use the Venkateshwara Kalyanam. You say you get Kalyanam tickets. When you go to the Shaiva Kshetras, you say Siva Parvati Kalyanam. Never Vivaham is used, because Nitya Kalyanam Patya Toranam essentially means they get married. Kalyanam essentially is prosperity through auspiciousness. Nitya Kalyanam essentially auspiciousness ever. Pacha Toranam, whenever there is a Subha Karikramam, auspicious event at home, we tend to tie the mango leaves to the main door of the house. Pacha Toranam means the Pacha is green, Toram or Toranam is essentially what is being tied to the main door. Now, How is this shlokam important to us? In the previous one, we basically discussed when Father Shiva is putting his arms around Mother's neck down, her body is getting goose flesh, just like the lotus stem of the flower, which has, some rough goose flesh like of, pimples all over it. And the face of mother was compared to the lotus. In this shloka, Jagadguru is saying there are three lines on the mother's neck that are being clearly seen when our father Shiva is tying a Mangala Sutram around mother's neck. And these three lines are a representation of Gakaram or Gandharam, Makaram or Madhyamam, Sakaram or Shadjamam. These Sa or Ga, Ma, Sa, starting from the bottom to the up in the ascending order, essentially are three of the seven notes of the Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. And these three are being used because of their significance in our life. And this is something that Yagnavalka explains beautifully in the mantram that all of us know. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritangamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In Asatoma Sadgamaya, what Yagnavalka is essentially saying is Asatoma Sadgamaya, from Asatyam, from a lie, I should move to the eternal truth. The truth, the nothing but only the truth. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. From darkness, I should be led to the bright light, which is from ignorance, get to knowledge. Tamasoma Mrityorma Amritangamaya. From death, I should be led to the deathless state. And once I reach these three states, going from a lie to the truth, the eternal truth, going from darkness to the full bright light, going from state of death to a state of no death. When I achieve these three, I accomplish Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In this slokam, Jagadguru refers to the same thing in a way where he's also talking about, I'll connect back to the slokam, but this is also connected to our Kundalini sadhana. The Mooladharam is controlled by Ganapati, and Ganapati's Bijaksharam is Ga. When we continue to pray Ganapati for any sadhana to be successful, first we have to pray to the obstacle remover and obstacle causer, Ganesha. And he would then remove the obstacles, opening up the Mooladhara Chakram's door. So Kundalini, which is the form of mother in all of us, can start ascending up. Now, in Lalita Sahasranamam, we have Mooladhare Kanalaya Brahma Grandhi Vibhedini, Manipuranta Rudra Vishnu Grandhi Vibhedini, Agna Chaknantaralasta Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini. Now, when the Kundalini is going on, Mooladhare Kanalaya, Brahma Grandhi Vibhedini, where does the Brahma Grandhi lie? It lies just above the Swadhisthana Chakra, which is just above the urinary bladder. Now, when the Kundalini ascends and crosses the Mooladhara Chakra, goes beyond the Swadhisthana Chakra, that's where the Brahma Grandhi is. What does the Brahma Grandhi do? Brahma Grandhi often causes the desires to do with the body. So when the Kundalini crosses and severs the Brahma Grandhi, Vibhedini, it severs it, then the bodily desires will come under control. They'll not be eliminated, but they'll come under control. And Manipurantarudita Vishnu Grandhi Vibhedini, as the Kundalini continues to cross the Manipuram. So for Mooladharam to be opened, you need to pray to Ganapati. That is the first bottom line that is being represented. Ga. That is the line in Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. We're talking about leading from darkness to the light. Kundalini is in a closed pit, which is very dark. We don't even know there is something called Kundalini in us that continues to keep us alive. Now, when you know about Kundalini and therefore doing any sadhana that would naturally awaken the Kundalini, Kundalini should never be forcefully awakened, then the results would be disastrous. As it awakens naturally, then it is moving from the darkness of the pot in which it is arrested. Now it is moving up with the help of the Sushumna Nadi, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, which is in the goldenish yellow color. And when we balance the breath through Ida and Pingala, the left and right nostrils, they balance the Sushumna Nadi, and Mother continues to ascend through the Sushumna Nadi, which is the highway for the Kundalini. When the Kundalini crosses Muladhara and does the Brahmagrandhi Vibhedini just above the urinary bladder and continues to progress ahead to the navel, and that's where the Vishnu Grandhi Vibhedini, when Vishnu Grandhi Vibhedini happens, what happens is we are able to get a control over our dissatisfaction. We'll be contented with whatever we have, we'll be very satisfied. And in the process, we also see that all the beings are just like us. We realize the word A Brahmakita Janani from Lata Sahasranamam. If I used to look at cockroach or lizards and scream earlier, now I no longer, because I realize that they don't mean to do any harm to me. Okay. It also ensures that when I look at a carnivorous animal like a tiger, lion, or a leopard, I don't go closer to them just thinking Ah Brahmakita Janani, because the first rule of any animal is to follow their natural instinct, and the carnivore's natural instinct is to kill that prey that is coming and feed on it. Similarly, when I see a snake, I do bow down to it and pray, because it's a sibling of mine connected to the divine parents. But I don't go to it because its natural instinct is to hiss and sting, right? Which can be dangerous for you and I. Therefore, I try to stay away. Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. The desire transforms into knowledge, and the knowledge says you and it are the same. That same energy powers it, but you are not supposed to touch it. Just like the electricity. When I want the light, I'll switch on the light. When I need the fan, I'll switch on the fan. When I need the air conditioning, I'll switch on the air conditioning. But I can enjoy the fan, air conditioning, and the light, but if I want to cut the wire open and touch, then the same electricity that was serving my purposes now can electrocute me or give me an electrical shock, could be fatal as well. So we need to know how much needs to be done, what needs to be done. That's where Mother helps us as the Jnana Shakti and the equivalent Kriya Shakti that she translates the thought into action. Now, ಮೂಲಾಧಾರ ಯಜ್ಞ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಗಂಧಿ ವಿಭೇದಿನಿ ಮಣಿಪುರಾಂತರುತ ವಿಷ್ಣುಗಂಧಿ ವಿಭೇದಿನಿ ಆಜ್ಞಾ ಚಕ್ರಾಂತರಾಳಸ್ಥ ರುದ್ರಗಂಧಿ ವಿಭೇದಿನಿ. So the second line ma is to do with Manipuram, and as the Kundalini crosses the Anahata Chakram, we also realize that my hunger is equivalent to the animal's hunger. Therefore, when I eat some food, I tend to keep a food that can be fed to other beings, humans, animals, and I start seeing a connectivity amongst all the beings. Therefore, I truly pray to the divine whenever I'm praying, Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, because I know the ecosystem is so very well connected. So everyone needs to be happy for me to be happy or happier. And therefore, I continue to pray, or you continue to pray, or we continue to pray for the greater good. As the Kundalini ascends, crosses the Anahata, comes to the Vishuddhi Chakra, and from Vishuddhi Chakra, it starts going up to the Agya Chakra. Agya Chakrantaralastha Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini. When the Rudra Grandhi is severed by Kundalini, one starts getting control over his emotions like anger, disgust, lust, and mada, matsarya, moha, infatuation, arrogance, and comparison. Jealousy comes out of comparison, right? The only outcome that is assured of comparison is unhappiness. We'll never be happy comparing to others. The only comparison that needs to be done is to yourself. How were you in the morning? How are you now? And how would you improve in the evening or night by the time you're ready to go to the bed? Now, the third line is sa. Ga, ma, sa. So ga is the Ganapati Bijam. Ma is the Amrita Bijam. Ra, ma, amma. Amritam means that which has no death. This is the line that we are talking about in Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Asatoma Sadgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. When we were talking about Asatoma Sadgamaya, please lead me from the lie to the eternal truth. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from the darkness to the brightness, ignorance to the knowledge. Mrityorma Amritangamaya, from a cycle of death and birth, lead me to a state of eternal, deathless state of moksha. And in the Ga is a representation of tamogunam. We'll generally by birth and design are lazy. We don't want to do anything. We postpone everything to, okay, I will do this post retirement, especially spirituality and spiritual journeys, spiritual progresses, spiritual adventures. We tend to postpone them to our retirement, but there's absolutely no guarantee that one would survive until their retirement. Two, even if they survive, the body won't support them in their endeavors on the spiritual journey, like sitting down on the floor or even trying to go up the mountains like Tirupati. Forget about Himalayas, Srisalam, and others. It would be quite challenging, therefore, will not be able to do. So, Ga is a representation of our tamogunam. And when Ganesha takes control of us, our tamogunam starts coming into control. Ma is a representation of our rajogunam. Rajogunam is essentially everything starts with us, and it is not necessarily a bad thing. In order to help others, I need to ensure that I'm healthy, stronger, and therefore a mother, nourishing mother, needs to ensure that she continues to eat healthy food in order to ensure that she can breastfeed her infant the healthy milk that will continue to grow. So the from the tamogunam to the rajogunam, from the selfishness, that selfishness will be used. For example, I will put in efforts to gain material riches, and then I will use those material riches to be distributed amongst the needy. So the laziness will be kicked, and then the rajogunam would be used from the self-centeredness to the selflessness on all the accrued wealth. You see, some of the billionaires of the world are giving away in the giving away pledge. That's a great example of the rajogunam being put to greater good. The hands that help are the holier than the lips that pray. Now, in the Kali Yuga, neither the hands help nor the lips pray. Therefore, wasting the very precious human life that is one amongst the 8.4 million species. Okay, now Ga Ma, as you progress to the Agya Chakram, Sa is a Bijakshram of Shakti, and this is essentially captured in the whole slokam of Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya that we chanted. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Only once these three are accomplished, we will be blessed with Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Now, this shlokam appears to be connected to the musical notes. When the Kundalini in us awakens consciously, your life will be a mellifluous music sound, no less than it, because you will start understanding all the divine compositions that, like devotees like Annamacharya, Tyagaraju, Muktaswami Dikshitar, Shyamasastri have composed about the divine, and you will start listening to the musical sounds and notes in your own body, right? The sound of anahata, the sound of anahata typically is that of a conch. And I'm being reminded in Kali, Sahasranamas and Ashtottara Satanamavali also, you will have a name, Kambakantaya Namaha. So mother's neck is like the conch which produces the music. Therefore, rather than taking all the saptaswaras, the three swaras, Gakara or Gandharam, Makara or Madhyam, Sakara or Shadjamam have been taken to show the progress on how mother continues to progress in us. When mother and father look at each other, father sitting in the Sahasratalam as the yogi, mother in the Kundalini as the Kumari, she starts rising up. She is going through the various avatars, transforming herself, eventually becoming the Parvata Rajakumari Parvati, who did severe penance by becoming Aparna and eating the dry bilva leaves before Shiva came and wedded her by the Vedic rituals by tying the Mangal Sutra around her neck. Therefore, when mother reaches the Agya Chakrantararastha Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini. The Rudra element of Shiva, the anger element of Shiva has been completely eliminated, and the Yogi Shiva now turns into the groom and therefore turns into Bhogi Shiva. When mother and father get united, they become one in our Sahasratalam, accessing that para Shakti in our Shakti, that apara Vidya into us, bringing that infinite source into this finite body, and then our body will start trembling with that energy which vibrates every particle without your control, and the gush of energy that goes through your body will be like no other energy that you would ever experience, no other high that you would ever experienced. This needs to be experienced, and every devotee can and should experience this by following either the Bhakti Marga or Jnana Marga or Raja Yoga, whatever is dear to them. By doing that, they can definitely experience this divine infusion of the cosmic energy that we call Shakti, our mother. This is a brief attempt at the shlokam, which talks about mother's marriage to father, tying the Mangal Sutram and the three lines on the throat. When we chant this, we or our kids will be blessed with the classical music, which is the Nada Yogam of divinity. By continuously chanting, for example, if you're talking about Muthuswami Dikshitar's Navavarna Kritis, when you're chanting or listening to them or singing them, it's as good as doing the Navavarna Puja of Mother's Mahameru or Sri Chakram. This is the advantage of chanting some of these slokas without our knowledge, just like a capsule. You don't have to know what are the ingredients of the capsule. You just pop the capsule in, and it goes and gives you energy. The Soundarya Lahari is 100 capsules that Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya has given for our spiritual nourishment and upliftment. This is a brief offering at the Divine Parents' Lotus feet. We'll conclude today's class with the Mangala Sasnam. ಮಂಗಳಂ ಗುರುಶ್ರೀ ಚಂದ್ರಮೌಳೀಶ್ವರಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಗಣಪತಿ ಶಾರದಾಂಬಿಗೆ ಶಂಕರಾಚಾರ್ಯನಿಗೆ ಕಾಲಭೈರವಗೆ ಕಾಳಿದುರ್ಗಿಗೆ ವೀರಧೀರ ಸೂರ ಹನುಮ ಮಾರುತಿ ಚರಣಗೆ ಮಂಗಳಂ ಗುರುಶ್ರೀ